Welcome into WFRV Plus Sports Night. I am your host, Carson Fowler. We're talking a little GB women hoops today. Sorry, adjusting the camera here. Packers free agency. We're going to have Kyle Malzahn stop by as well. But the GB women, they win by, what is this? I got to do my math here. 25 over Purdue Fort Wayne, the 5th seed in the Horizon League Tournament Championship semifinals. They will now play for a 3rd straight conference championship. Obviously, the winner of that one goes to the big dance that is the NCAA tournament. I don't really know what to say. Kayla Karius' squad dominated in this one. They had a 16-0 run in the second quarter, which Kyle Malzahn will detail for us in just a little bit here. But got off to a slow start, picked things up, and then just kind of were in cruise control the rest of the way, let their defense be the engine for their win. Hard to hold a team to 48 points, especially that being a Division I college basketball team. But let's give Kyle Malzahn a call. He's our resident GB insider here at WFRV. So let's give him a call and see what he has to say. What are his thoughts from today's game? Mr. Malzahn.
What's going on, man?
You are live on CTV, my friend.
This is big time.
This is big. Wanted to get your thoughts on GB's win over Purdue Fort Wayne. Obviously, now they will contend for a Horizon League championship with a chance to go to March Madness on the line. What did you think about GB in this game, and what stood out to you?
This is what the Green Bay women do, right? 73-48 the final. Just dominating performance by the Phoenix. They will play for their 26th championship in the last 40 years. Think of that.
Wow.
26 out of the last 40 years, the Green Bay women have made it to the Horizon League title game with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years under Kayla Karius. In this game, it was kind of the opposite of what we've seen this year.
Right.
Where the Green Bay women really rely on Jenna Geyer, their senior leader, their captain of the team, to really take over a game. But Jenna Geyer was at one point like 1 for 10. So she had an off game, and it was everybody around her to kind of carry the load. Obviously, Carly Duffney scored 20 points. This is actually a pretty close game in the first quarter. Green Bay missed 10 shots of the first quarter and then blew it wide open, scoring close to 50 points in the second and third quarter.
Wait, but Kyle, let me interrupt you really quick. In a game like this, where they can still win by 25 and their best players don't show up, does that give you a lot of confidence that this team can take down Youngstown State in the next round and maybe even make some noise in March, deep March?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Obviously, when you get to the NCAA tournament, and they have to win tomorrow, of course.
Right.
The size factor is going to be really tough because GB is going to be a really low seed, as in like whether they're 14, 15, 16, whatever it is. So if they have to go on the road and play what will be a home site team in the SEC or ACC, Big Ten, wherever they end up, the size factor is going to get you. But Green Bay didn't even play their best ball, and yet they won by darn near 30 points. So
right.
It gives me a ton of confidence. Obviously, you can't underestimate the type of impact that Maddie Skorupski has on a nightly basis.
Yep.
She only scored 7 points, but she was coming off a triple-double and almost had another triple-double in her. If she probably played, she came out of the game, I think, with 5 minutes to go. If she probably played that 5 minutes, she gets a triple-double once again in back-to-back performances. Just kind of looking at these shooting performances, I'll end it with this. Jenna Geyer went 3 for 13. Maddie Skorupski, 3 for 11. Megan Schultz, 4 for 13. They didn't even play their best ball, and yet they still handled the team. Now, granted, Purdue Fort Wayne had to play the day before, so they were kind of tired.
Yep.
But really positive signs for the Green Bay women, and this is just kind of what we expect at this time.
And obviously, Green Bay will contend for a Horizon League championship tomorrow. That game at 11 a.m. local time on ESPN2. Now, Kyle, this Youngstown State team, 24-8, but it's also a group that narrowly beat, or almost beat, I should say, Green Bay on their court less than a month ago. Jenna Geyer had to hit almost a game-winning shot for them to win that one. What sort of challenges did they present? And I know we talk about what Green Bay could do in late March, but they got to get past this Penguins team that's, I would say, pretty darn good.
Yeah, they are. They shoot the ball pretty well from behind the arc. So that's something that's really good that YSU does. And then looking at Youngstown State, it's kind of like almost, I wouldn't say kind of like what Green Bay does, but like they really rely on their starting five. So if Green Bay can force them into foul trouble and they have to go to their bench, like they only played 8 players in their in today's semifinals. So like if they can force maybe some of their starters, like a player like Cameron or King, into foul trouble and get them on their bench, I don't know if YSU has the depth like Green Bay does, where you have a Gracie Gresh coming off the bench.
Right on.
Or Matt come off the bench, so on. So that's, I think, going to be the factor. And of course, I don't know if any team can physically keep up with Green Bay and the speed. Now, let me note this. Maddie Skorupski got a black eye during the game, a hard foul. Somebody elbowed her, grabbing a rebound right in the eye, and it immediately turned black and blue. So it'll be interesting to see what she's like tomorrow. I'm sure as we speak right now, she's at the hotel icing it, but
no doubt.
What if Maddie Skorupski, your starting point guard and your star player who runs this really high, efficient, fast offense, is only working with 1.5, maybe 1 eye tomorrow? So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Definitely something that would be interesting if she were playing in a limited capacity in the championship game tomorrow. Just a scoreboard watch here. They beat Cleveland State, who is also a very good team in the Horizon League, by 5 this year. They trailed by 5 going into the fourth quarter. But Kyle, get this, they won having only shot 30% in the game. 35%. Yeah. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. This is a team that's very similar to Green Bay in terms of that they play really difficult defense. They're going to guard you the entire 40 minutes, and they're going to make you shoot tough shots. So, I think this game in a way plays to some of Green Bay's strength because I think they already get to play their pace. And I think when, like you said, when Green Bay gets to play its pace and its players get to go out and run, play good defense, set up their half-court offense, I think that genuinely favors them. So I would say this. I'm definitely not picking against GB tomorrow. Do you have a score prediction? Do you have any idea how the game's going to, we're just playing philosopher here, like how the game's going to roll out? Like what are some of your expectations for tomorrow's game?
So this whole Horizon League tournament run, it's been really close in the first quarter of games. So I think the second quarter heading into halftime will really decide and dictate kind of how things pan out. Because even versus Detroit Mercy in the first round, Detroit Mercy is the worst team in the league. But they went toe-to-toe with Green Bay in that first quarter. And then, of course, the Phoenix kind of get on a run themselves in the second and third and blow it wide open. It was the same type of deal earlier today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Against Purdue Fort Wayne. So I think it'll be a close game to start, but it's the second and third quarter, how they end the half and how they start the half, that will really dictate the game. As far as like a score prediction, I'll say Green Bay wins by, I'll say 8.
8. I think that's a good score prediction. I'm going to say, I think 8's a good number. I'm going to say 7, and I'm going to say it's 65-58.
I love it. Here's the thing, too, Carson, we've seen that teams can beat Green Bay. They're not.
Of course. They're not invincible.
They're not invincible. They've been beat. Just last month. But they've also had games where it just looks so easy. Yeah. Right? It looks so easy.
Yes.
So I don't know what Green Bay squad we're going to get tomorrow, but if history tells us anything, I really think this is the Phoenix game to win.
And I just think you talked about the depth earlier. I mean, Green Bay had 8 different players hit a field goal in this one. So the depth will certainly be interesting. Just looking at Youngstown State's roster, I can't say that I know a lot about them, but they have, like you mentioned, 5 players that all play more than 30 minutes. But then there's a significant drop-off after that. I mean, they've got this Casey Santoro guard that looks pretty good, Sarah Baker, Sophia Gregory, Erica King. But then after that, it's like,
well, think of this too, Carson. I hate to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Megan Schultz is somewhat of an unsung hero of the team. She doesn't really get a lot of credit. but I think she had like 10 boards today.
She did.
And you look at, and it's really hard to out-rebound Green Bay. And if you can't out-rebound Green Bay, then they're just getting extra possessions.
Yes.
And for a team like Green Bay, it's really hard to beat that. Like, think of this. Purdue Fort Wayne had 4 offensive rebounds. Green Bay had 16.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Purdue Fort Wayne had 23. Green Bay had 31. Like,
yeah.
That's just the margins where the math kind of maths in Green Bay's way.
And I would say, and you can disagree with me, but I think you won't, I would say 9 out of 10 times the team that out-rebounds the other team usually is the one that wins. And I would say especially so when you have a plus 20 net margin in rebounding with Green Bay having that advantage. But granted, also you mentioned the offensive rebounds. I mean, when you get 16 offensive boards, I mean, they shot 14 more shots than them. That's 14 more possessions that you had to score. And winning by 25, you probably got them all right there.
And Green Bay had 44 points in the paint. Purdue Fort Wayne had 22. So Green Bay doubled that. So
14 steals as well.
Yeah. So Green Bay's size has really come alive late in the season. And,
yes.
And they're crashing the boards. Like, dude, Matty Skorupski's, who's their point guard, is grabbing boards. So there's just another gear to this team. I think it's really hard to compete with because of how fast and physical they play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just end it with this. I mean, I think you mentioned the rebounding. It's so easy to get this Green Bay team to get out there and run when they have a gal like Cammie Pepler, a gal like Maddie Skorupski that can take it the length of the floor in just a few seconds after Megan Schultz or Jenna Geyer grabs a rebound. So they'll be tested tomorrow, but I agree with you. I think they win. We appreciate your analysis, Kyle. I know we're interrupting. What is it, American Idol or is it the World Baseball Classic?
First, so this is what we like to do. Monday nights are American Idol night with my wife and I. That's our thing.
There we go.
Our thing for the last half decade. Love American Idol, but here's the twist. We love setting American Idol on record so that we can just fast forward through all the commercials. So right now,
there we go.
USA in the World Baseball Classic.
See, guys, if you don't know, for those watching, Kyle's second love after his wife is baseball, and especially at the baseball at the highest level, that being the World Baseball Classic. But my friend, as always, we appreciate you joining the program and adding your GB expertise. It is always appreciated, and I would say at this point it's almost expected. I feel like if we don't hear Kyle talking about GB, we might be a little. It makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, you got more time or no? Or are we running at the end of it?
No, we got plenty of time. Do you want to take a break and then join us on the back end for some Packers talk?
Let's do it.
Okay, absolutely. All right, well, you heard that. The man wants to stay on for a second segment. So we're going to take a quick break here. We just highlighted GB's win over the Mastodons, that being Purdue Fort Wayne. They will play Youngstown State tomorrow, 11 a.m. local on ESPN2. After the break, we'll talk a little Packers and free agency. But until then, here's 30 seconds of ad time. Welcome on back here to WFRV Plus Sports Night. We got a special guest joining us via phone call, I guess. Not Zoom, but phone call. So Kyle Malzahn just discussed and broke down what was Green Bay's 25-point win over Purdue Fort Wayne earlier today. They will play Youngstown State tomorrow with a chance to go to the Big Dance on the line. Kyle, let's talk a little Packers here. A lot of moves coming out of 1265 Lombardi Avenue today. I would say the three biggest, news. We'll say news. Three of the biggest things to come out of Green Bay today. Quay Walker is a Las Vegas Raider. Rashawn Gary is a Dallas Cowboy. And Elton Jenkins is not going to be with the team. And then after that, you got a few other guys. Romeo Dobbs not with the team either. But let's start with the longest tenured Packer that was Elton Jenkins. I think that's a good place to start. His cap hit would have been significant. This move frees up a ton of space for Green Bay, who was kind of teetering on the cap line probably after the draft, would have been a little over it. But this is interesting because they signed Sean Ryan now, right? So he's going to be your center. And Elton Jenkins is gone. How would you describe Elton Jenkins' contributions to this team over, the better part of this last decade? And what he's meant to Green Bay, 2-time Pro Bowler. I mean, it's sad to see him go, but I feel like you've said it ad nauseum. Green Bay knows when to move guys at the right time, and I feel like that is what's happening right now.
Yeah. Green Bay has a good kind of feeling of moving on from guys 1 year too early than 1 year too late.
Right.
I mean, look, Elton Jenkins is 30 years old.
Yeah.
There was a little, I wouldn't say from what we heard or whatnot, but there was a little disagreement. Obviously, Elton Jenkins didn't show up for most of the offseason because the Packers were going to move him to center. And then that kind of played out the way it did. The writing was on the wall. Look, I mean,
sure.
Elton Jenkins is good. He's a fine offensive lineman, and the Packers have always asked their offensive linemen to be able to play all 5 positions. It's really hard to do that at a high level, but at some point your body just doesn't keep up with you. And
right.
The cap number, they couldn't commit that much money
to
a guy that they can have the same production within Sean Ryan. And sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles a little bit.
Yeah, and then I mean, you brought up a lot of good points there. Another guy that was in his draft class. So obviously, Rashawn Gary was the first round draft pick of the Packers in 2019. Elton Jenkins being the second round pick that year, I believe. Rashawn is a Dallas Cowboy. I don't think this move is something that's unexpected at all. His cap hit would have been, I want to say it would have been $26 million this next season. And that's just not something the Packers wanted to pay. I mean, we saw the production in the back half of the season with Rashawn, and you feel for the guy because he's, for what it's worth, has done a lot for Green Bay. And I would say eliminate those last few games, he might be a Packer this year.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, what I think I learned from the Rashawn Gary trade was that he wasn't hacked. Like, I think we all knew that.
Oh, no doubt. Yes.
PR talk. Like, you weren't hacked. You jumped the gun. The Packers didn't like it because realistically, if Green Bay didn't find a trade suitor, that they were just going to release him. And somehow, some way, Green Bay tricked Jerry Jones again to take somebody off their hands.
Okay, so I want to interrupt you really quick. So our other reporter, I wouldn't say Cameron is here. I wouldn't say we got in an argument about this, but I said I was confused why Jerry Jones would go out on a limb to sign Rashawn Gary after this trade, pick up his $28 million cap hit, and argue that he didn't want to pay Micah Parsons, who I'll remind you, his cap hit this year was $19 million.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I'm with you 100%, but that's Jerry just being Jerry. He has to be the smartest person in the room, and he always has to have the attention on him. I don't get it either, but I mean, that was probably the best case scenario for the Packers to get a trade.
100%.
They got a 4th round pick in 2027. And
listen, you think about the guys that have come through the building in later rounds for the Packers. I mean, the one that comes to mind wasn't Evan Williams the Packers' 4th round draft pick in, was it 24, 25?
Yeah.
24, I think. Right. So, and has turned into what is pretty close to being I would say, all-pro safety, or at least on his way. So
yeah, he's really good.
And we all know that Brian Gutekunst has found some diamonds in the rough in those later rounds. So I think that's a major win for Green Bay on a lot of fronts. So I want to get your take on this. This is at least my opinion. I thought that after the Packers moved on from Elton Jenkins, moved on from Rashawn Gary, they would have at least tried to bring back Romeo Doubs. And maybe they are, but of course, ESPN's Rob Domofsky reporting this morning that he wants out, that he will sign elsewhere, that being Romeo Doubs. I'm a little confused because I don't know why you wouldn't at least try to bring him back. And maybe it was a money thing, and maybe they just didn't want to pay him what he probably thinks he's worth. But he still led you in targets, receiving yards, and touchdowns this year. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, we only know what we know. And for right now, we know that he wants to sign elsewhere.
Yeah. I think the writing was on the wall there too, that Green Bay wasn't going to commit a lot of money to him, considering the fact that Green Bay probably doesn't feel like wide receiver is a position that they need to, dedicate a lot of money to, considering they're already hindered with money. And obviously, you have young stars like Jaden Reed that's under contract, Dontavian Wicks. You have a guy who Matthew Golden, that Brian Gutekunst himself at the end of the season said he wishes that he got more opportunity. Well, here's your opportunity.
For sure.
And let's not forget that they still have Savion Williams, who's a project in himself. He
totally true.
Injuries at the end of the year. So it's not like this wide receiver room is totally gutted. I think Romeo Doubs was a fine player. I think he had some of the best hands on the team. He also had his weaknesses at points this year where he had drop issues.
For sure.
But I think there's 100 Romeo Doubs out there in the NFL.
You make a really good point, and I'll add on the end there. You bring up all these guys, just kind of triggered my memory. Of course, the Packers have to think about re-signing Tucker Kraft. They just re-signed Christian Watson to a 1-year, I think it was $13.25 million deal, but that will expire next year. So that's a guy they were probably thinking about, well, we're going to have to probably pay him a lot of money in the next, year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So you've actually kind of brought me back to earth a little bit. I think I understand the sentiment of why you wouldn't bring him back. We've got a couple more minutes here. I'm trying to think of another. Let's talk Quay Walker really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think this was unexpected either. The Packers, of course, declining his 5th-year option. But Kyle, get this. He got $28 million guaranteed on a $40 million deal from the Raiders. That's the 5th most guaranteed money among NFL linebackers. I feel like that's a little much for him. Don't get me wrong. Quay Walker is a very, very talented run stuffer and middle linebacker, but that's a lot of money for a guy who's he's 26, 27 now. I mean, you could say he's just entering his prime, but I don't know, $28 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll give Quay Walker a lot of credit here because when he first came into the league in 2022, he had a lot of growing up to do. He was ejected twice, ejected twice from games his rookie season, including that season-ending loss in the regular season finale, winner go home pretty much. If the Packers won that game, they would have went to the playoffs against the Lions. He got ejected and he really looked in the mirror, did a lot of meditation. Him and Jair Alexander were really close, and he really grew up in Green Bay. But at the end of the day, the Packers made the trade they made, sending Kobe Wooden to the Colts and them getting Zaire Franklin because they were never going to commit that much money to Quay Walker when they can either go out in the draft and get, a backup to what Zaire Franklin can provide you. And maybe, and really, Carson, maybe this is their new defensive coordinator kind of looking at the way they're going to play and say, hey, I just don't think Quay Walker is worth what he's going to get paid. I think Zaire Franklin is our guy. So Jonathan Gannon might have, had a lot of say on kind of the direction they went at that position.
Absolutely. And don't forget Teron Hopper. He's a young guy that I would say hasn't even really had his chance in the NFL yet. So he's probably a guy to look out for that might get some PT this year. I would say an underrated departure, and this will probably be our last point before we have to wrap up. So we say quickly in the last one. Let's actually be quick here. JJ Enagbari. I would say that is a departure that is going to hurt Green Bay more than it knows right now.
Yep. I think Brian Gutekunst has his work cut out for him when it comes to pass rushers and that D line, obviously.
Oh, it's decimated.
They're going to have to get creative in the draft and see what they can do in free agency if their cap number allows it.
We will see. Hopefully, Nazir Stackhouse, maybe Barron Sorrell start to figure things out. Of course, Devontae Wyatt recovering from injury. But Kyle, again, we appreciate your analysis as always. GB, Packers, this guy does it all. Northeast Wisconsin's finest. We appreciate you, brother.
Love you, bro.
All right, Kyle, enjoy your World Baseball Classic and American Idol.
Thank you, bro.
Cheers, dog. Okay, bye. Well, that was Kyle, and we are running up here another break here on WFRV Plus Sports Night, but I feel like that was really good analysis of what is been the first day of the NFL free agency that, here in Green Bay at least, a lot to talk about. Take a quick break here, and we'll wrap things up here on the other side. Welcome back here to WFRV Plus Sports Night. I am your host, Carson Fowler, flying solo on this Tuesday evening. To wrap things up, the GB women are in the Horizon League Tournament Championship game. They will play Youngstown State tomorrow at 11 a.m. on national television. Definitely tune into that one. It's going to be a great game. It's a team that almost beat them earlier this year in Youngstown State. Expect that to be an awesome game. I and Kyle think that they're going to win that game and play into deep March. Hopefully Jenna Geyer gets to keep that GB jersey on. And then on the other side of it, NFL free agency today, the Packers making several moves, bringing back Darian Kennard. We see the departure of Malik Willis, JJ Enigbari, Romeo Dobbs, but they bring back Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins is gone. They trade Rashawn Gary. It's been a long day, long show, a lot of stuff happening, but that's going to pretty much do it here on WFRV Plus Sports Night for myself and our entire production staff, which is also just me. So long and have a good evening.